Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fortress Comic News, episode 90. That's right. Countdown to 100 begins. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, alongside
Mike, the other host. Wow. Almost in triple digits. Almost.
Counting down, Mike.
Yes, it's a very special episode because it's New York Comic Con weekend.
Yes.
Woo! Yeah. We don't actually have a crowd to cheer for us, so I tried to imitate them.
Yes,
and we also have a great guest on the show today, Mathew Basile, who is running a Kickstarter right now. Pretty cool story called Wolf's Howl. So we'll be talking to him in the middle of the show. And if you are interested in werewolves and were-coyotes and interesting stories about that, you can head over to Wolf's Howl Part 1 on Kickstarter and help him out. He's got a little over 20 days left on the project, and it's pretty much almost funded. So get in those pledges now while you can.
Keep going with our 100% success rating on Kickstarter.
Yeah, our KDA is pretty high. Kickstarter, I didn't
Kickstarter destroy level.
Anyways, I don't know. Maybe. I'll think about it more throughout the show. Anyways, so New York City Comic Con's this weekend. We've already got tons. Well, I guess it's ending now. But we've already got lots of news. Crazy stuff. Amazon Prime original The Boys teaser trailer. Okay. Holy crap. They're all in costume. All the costumes are there. And then we get at the end, we see the boys, and you might be upset because Simon Pegg isn't part of the boys. We all know when you read the boys, Simon Pegg was meant to play the character. But after the teaser was made, Simon Pegg was cast for the show.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God. I'm so excited. And you know it's a Prime original, so they're just not going to give a shit. It's going to be gory. It's going to be raunchy. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and it just adds to the list of shows that I will not be able to watch, but I really want to watch.
You don't have Prime?
I do have Prime. There's so many freaking shows, though. So many. I still haven't finished Iron Fist.
Prime is easy because I can download them while I'm traveling.
Yeah, that is a great feature.
Yeah, it's that and Netflix. Netflix is still some of the shows here and there you can download, but Prime is just amazing. I'll even pay for shows on Prime if I miss them on TV just so I could watch them on the go. There's a new Titans trailer. What do you think of that?
Yeah, it was okay. It was really gory and over the top, and I'm just not convinced on Starfire. Her power set was on point, but I don't know. She doesn't look right to me. Beast Boy was fantastic. They actually showed him transforming, and that was great.
Yeah, him transforming looks really cool.
And Robin looked good, but it falls into the DC Extended Universe trap where I think they just went way too dark with it. But I'm still willing to give it a shot, and we'll see after a couple episodes in.
Yeah, we'll see. So a trailer that I really want to talk about, the Daredevil trailer. So we see Fisk, and he's in his costume, or his we already talked about how he got the white suit. Yeah. But the big reveal at the end of the trailer, Daredevil's going around killing people, which in costume, and we're like, okay, Chris and I were like, yeah, he might start killing people this season. Well, it's strange because he ends up in the office of Matthew Murdock, and Matthew Murdock's there, or Daredevil with the black suit, and Daredevil killing people with the real suit is there, so there can't be two Daredevils. Well, as you watch the scene, you're like, there can only be someone that's so accurate like that, but also wearing a Daredevil suit. What a great reveal, right? They never even say, I don't think they ever say Bullseye's name, right?
No.
I almost think that, because of Colin Farrell, they might have made Bullseye a mute this time around. They're like, those cheesy one-liners. We're just gonna do without him. He can't speak. He's missing his tongue.
I'm so happy. It's Born Again. Bullseye is the villain. Elektra's coming back. This is everything I want out of a Daredevil series. And I knew it was going to take a few seasons to get there. I didn't think we'd get there this quick, to be honest. But I'm so stoked. Mm-hmm. This is Born Again's everyone's favorite Daredevil story. Yeah. And I love the character, so I'm excited to see it.
It's very cool. So that comes out in a couple weeks, right?
I think next weekend.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. Wow. The Harley Quinn animated teaser was shown, and the voice cast, some pretty big names on the voice cast. Kaylee Kyoko from
Big Bang
Theory is voicing Harley Quinn, which I don't know how the fans feel about that yet, because we've had the same Harley Quinn voice actress for ever since the animated series, right?
Yeah. It doesn't. The voice was fine to me in the teaser.
Yeah.
It came off very Deadpool-y.
Mm-hmm.
She definitely took some shots at the DC Extended Universe and the Deadpool animated series, and we'll see. I thought the animation was good. Her voice was good, but I'm super excited about the cast in general. I mean, we got Alan Tudyk, Ron Funches, JB Smoove, Jason Alexander, Wanda Sykes, Tony Hale, and Chris Meloni. I will give it a chance based on that cast alone.
Yeah, Alan Tudyk doing the voice is that's pretty awesome. It seems like DC doesn't want to let Alan Tudyk go, which is great.
Yeah,
I'm really glad they're holding on to him.
I'm stoked about Jason Alexander and Ron Funches as well. Like, Ron Funches is super funny, and I'm a huge Seinfeld fan, so anything any of those guys do, this being Jason Alexander, I'm in this to check out.
Yeah, that's crazy. Jon Favreau's live-action Star Wars, though.
Oh, yeah.
We all thought it would be too much, so maybe a little bit of oversaturation of Star Wars, until they released the title and the plot is the Mandalorians, and we got a little screenshot of like some Mandalorian armor, and man, I'd be lying if I didn't say it looked like a screenshot from a Star Wars movie. So
yeah, because they're pumping a ton of money into this.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
I think this is the perfect way to do a Star Wars live action show. You don't have to have too much special effects. I'm sure there's not going to be a ton of Jedis and Sith, and you can kind of do a villain of the week with it. I mean, there's tons of stuff that can be done. I'm really excited because I love the Mandalorian lore, and they need to explore it more in some sort of live action sense.
For sure. The Hellboy poster, what do you think of that? That was pretty cool.
Looked good. Honestly, I thought he looked way better than the other Hellboy movies in that still frame.
He looks great. What is it, Superhero AF or something like that? Or is that what the poster said?
I forget.
Something AF, but like they really dropped the ball and they didn't put hell yeah. How do you have a Hellboy poster? You don't have hell yeah as the tagline. Like, come on. You could have hired me for marketing on that. Jesus. But I guess I got to relate to the youth of America with the AF, so I don't know. So really quick, they released a plot synopsis, I think, and to be taken as seriously as the original Hellboy movies. I don't know. At least that's what I got from it. Like, Hellboy is supposed to be doing things on Earth, and he's just sitting around partying. But I guess that's kind of like the original, right? I mean, he was sitting around partying.
Kind of, yeah.
I think they have to separate themselves somehow, so I'm interested I just want to see a trailer already.
Yeah.
And put Lobster Johnson in this one.
Yes. Do that immediately.
Oh, Yeah, always at Lobster Johnson in the. Yeah, so that was cool. And I saved the best news for last here for movies and shows. The 5 minute long, relatively spoiler free, Aquaman trailer. Chris just achieved Nirvana on the podcast. What did you think? I just want to hear your reaction.
It reaffirmed that I think this is going to save the DC universe.
I really hope so.
They got everything so right in it. The trench people look fantastic. The special effects going into all the stuff underwater look great. They really solved the underwater theme. Everyone thought that was going to be a big issue. I thought it looked fantastic. The quick back and forth between Aquaman and Mara was on point. It reminded me so much of the Peter David Aquaman stuff. And then jump to the end when he's standing in the classic suit.
Yes.
And it is the most perfect on-screen representation of a superhero I've ever seen.
I don't know. Vincent Chase in Entourage might have been better.
I'm not, I was a little worried because I wanted to see Vincent Chase's version of Aquaman with James Cameron, but I don't know how things explode underwater. That was always my confusion with that. But I think James Wan has a really great eye for action, and especially like the scene where they're running through the town, running away from the Atlanteans. Like it reminded me of the action sequences from Fast and the Furious, and that's the one thing that James Wan just does so perfectly.
Yeah, which Fast and the Furious did he do? Did he do 5?
He did like 2 of the more recent ones, like 5 and 6.
Yeah, where I was like, I wonder, and that's kind of like why we got excited for Aquaman, because we're like, he gets his fan base, and like the fan base of the Fast and Furious, like he came out of some horror movies to do that.
Yeah.
Which and he did it right. I mean, the chase sequence where like, dude, where Black Manta shows up with his like henchmen, dude. I guess they're not henchmen, I guess they're trenchmen.
That was the other thing. Black Manta, man, like, could they have gotten any closer to the actual comic?
I don't think so. Yeah, I'm just excited for this movie. Yeah. So excited.
And just the balls to put Black Manta in that big helmet and have him shoot lasers out of his eyes. Like, I really, like, if this movie disappoints, you're probably not going to get a show for at least a month because I'm going to be so depressed.
Yeah, we'll take a hiatus for sure.
But you did skip a trailer.
I did, yes, I know. This one was pretty good too. The Into the Spider-Verse trailer. We'll talk about that.
Yes, so
pretty hype, I would say.
I am super excited for this. First of all, Spider-Ham is in Peter Porker. Like, that's all. Ticket sold. So yeah, Peter Porker ticket sold. All the other Spider-Man they added to it. It seems like the Spider-Man Peter Parker is. It seems like they're hinting towards him being the one from the original movies.
Like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man?
Yeah, because they show a bunch of the scenes from that movie, or from that movie series, as his kind of backstory. And that might just be to make fun of it, I don't know, but that seems to be what they're hinting towards. And then just Miles being the lead makes me so happy. And the fact that Spider Noir is Nick Cage, like, come on.
Oh, man.
So
it's gonna make a lot of money. I'm gonna go see it in theaters.
Yeah, and I love the animation. The animation's fantastic. So, quick little bit of trivia for the number one Scott Snyder fanboy before we jump to the interview. So, Scott Snyder wrote a Marvel series before jumping to DC, and it was part of the Noir series. Do you know which one it is?
It wasn't Spider-Man.
It was not.
This is one of the big characters.
Yeah.
Was it oh geez. I'm trying to how many Noir books were there?
Not a lot. It was Iron Man. He did Iron Man.
Yeah, I was going to say Iron Man. I swear I was going to say Iron Man. I knew it was red.
Yeah.
I was like, Spider-Man or Iron Man? Yeah, I knew that. Damn it. You just gave me like 20 more seconds.
Dead air, man. But so we got an interview.
Yeah, we're going to cut to Mathew Basile and talk about his book, Wolf's Howl, and then we'll see you guys on the other side.
Hey guys, Chris here, interrupting the show real quick. Remember, if you want to show your support for Force Comic News, head on down to patreon.com/Force Comic News, where just $1 a month gets you access to our Slack channel, where we can talk comics all day and all night, and exclusive Patreon podcast that we're uploading very soon. A series of games that we play with all the great guests we have here on Force Comic News. You're going to get one of those every month, and just $1 a month gets it for you. So remember, that's the best way to show your support there and to help a growing community and to be a part of it with us. So everybody, thanks for your support. And welcome back, everybody. Today we've got a special guest, Matt Basile of Wolf's Howl. Welcome to the show, Matt.
Hi, thank you. Glad to be here.
Man. Thanks for being on the show. Before we talk about the book Wolf's Howl that has a Kickstarter going on right now, what got you into comics? Or have you been reading comics from an early age, or?
Yeah. Well, when I was a little kid, about the time that the first Tim Burton Batman movie came out, my dad would give me like trading cards. He bought me like a couple X-Men comics, Batman trading cards and X-Men trading cards. That kind of whetted my appetite. But it wasn't until I was about, I guess, 11 that I think the same way you guys got into it. I was at a grocery store. I was really into the Spider-Man cartoon series, if you remember, from the 90s. Cartoon series. I was really into watching that, and I happened to see a Spider-Man comic in the center rack at the checkout line that said something about the real Peter Parker, because it was the Clone Saga, to give you a reference. And I decided to pick it up, and I've been reading comics ever since.
Awesome.
That's cool. So
it's so funny. You go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, so as starting off with the Clone Saga, has that been the character you follow the most?
Yeah, Spider-Man is definitely like my favorite comic book character. That he was the one that got me really, into comics, and then I just kind of expanded in the Marvel universe primarily through that. I always liked Batman too, from those trading cards my dad used to get me, and I've always been into X-Men, but definitely Spider-Man has been, my main follower.
Awesome. Yeah, Chris and I talk about this all the time, especially like people our age, that we all found comics like either in a grocery store or on a magazine rack somewhere. It's like that's not the case anymore. You gotta go searching for. They're not really up on display.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a shame it's not that. It doesn't exist like that anymore, because that was definitely how I got into it, and I think it's a great way for people to just kind of browse through it and kind of wade into the water.
Yeah, for sure. So, and then after reading all these comics, you felt, oh, maybe I could write one of these, or?
Well, actually, I always wanted to be some form of storyteller, even before I got interested in comics. My earliest memories were kind of telling my parents stories that I came up with, believe it or not. Yeah. But I was kind of more geared towards film. I wanted to make movies, and went to film school. But it didn't really work out for me, so I kind of didn't know what to do with my storytelling and all these characters I had in my head. So I went to New York Comic Con, which is kind of going on right now, for the first time, and that kind of inspired me to try comics as a form to tell my stories. Since I had always loved comics and always read them, I just didn't really ever click to actually try to do one myself, because I can't draw to save my life.
Yeah, that's cool. So like going to New York Comic Con for the first time, did that kind of like, you saw all the indie creators and stuff, and you're like, well, maybe I could do this too. There's so many people here and they're very passionate about everything. That kind of sparked your interest?
Yeah, exactly. That was it. I was kind of ignorant to how big the indie comic community was at that time. Mm-hmm. And I just saw so many creators, that were so passionate, and a lot of them, weren't artists either. So I was like, well, I can do this. I can, hire an artist. I just was totally ignorant to that process until I really went to New York City Comic Con and started meeting all these people and seeing all this creative energy and all these varied stories that were out there.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a little different now. I mean, New York, I've gone the last few years. I didn't go this year, obviously, but it's grown to like TV shows and movies. But if you look hard enough, I mean, all the indie stuff is still there. It's overwhelming for people now. Like if you go, you need to focus on one thing. It's either you're going to see a TV show panel and you'll be waiting all day, or it's like if you want to spend all day talking to indie creators, they're still there, but it's gotten really big from the last few years I've gone.
Exactly. I was overwhelmed my first time, and I was with a friend who really just wanted a company because she was going to meet one of the Doctor Who's and get her picture taken with him, and we just had to wait till later in the afternoon until he was there. So we just ended up wandering around, and sure enough, I found myself amongst all these indie creators and all these indie comics, and I was just like, wow. And it came at a time in my life where I was kind of looking to reinvent my storytelling, medium and capabilities and try something new. So it really kind of just clicked.
Yeah.
So let's jump forward to Wolf's Howl. Wolf's Howl, kind of a unique werewolf-y story. Where did the story come from for you?
For me, it came from a couple different sources. It came from part of me, just my love of nature and animals and wolves in general. I've always been fascinated by wolves and loved them again ever since I was a kid. Mm-hmm. I have 2 dogs, and I started researching dog behavior. Dogs are descended from wolves, so of course it led me to learn a lot more about wolves than I have previously knew. And at the time I was also going through kind of a personal crisis, and I kind of used what I was my fascination with nature, what I was learning about wolves, and, what I was kind of going through on a personal level, and it kind of all came about this story that evolved that was a way for me to kind of work through that and represent that.
Cool. And so in the story, you got these different, I'll call them were people. There's one group that can turn into wolves, one that can turn into cats, and one I believe was coyotes. And all of them seem to be centered around this one family. Now, obviously, that was done on purpose. Are we going to explore more of that family and kind of why they're considered the alphas in these different tribes?
Yes. Which I know you read, I sent you the first part, which is now on Kickstarter. It's the first part in, the story. It's a limited series. And yes, that is very much explored, and that becomes very crucial. You don't find that out till later on in the story. I would say the third act. Because I wrote out the whole story already. I've only turned the first, little bit into a comic book. But at the end of the story, you do find out that there is a reason that all the were people are originated from this one family. It is the reason that they exist. And it is very involved in why they are fighting the vampires, the Dark Ones, that they call. And that the war that the werewolves and the Dark Ones have stems from basically how they were created and what this family was. It's a special family. I don't want to give too much away, but it was a special family, and something special happened that kind of set off a chain of events, and that's kind of what is culminating in the story.
So this story has a finite ending. You're going to do X amount of issues and then move on to something else?
Yes, the story definitely has a finite ending. I could, if there is, demand, and, I feel like I do have other stories I could tell dealing with these characters, both kind of prequels and sequels. But there is a definite, ending to the story and a final, confrontation and resolution that happens. And then, after that story's completed, again, it depends whether, I go on to other stories or, I continue with these characters.
Very cool. The art is definitely really interesting to me. Are you sticking with the black and white pages?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to intend to stick with the black and white pages in the interior. It was actually originally done for financial reasons because, black and white is a little less expensive than doing color.
For sure, yep.
But actually, it was funny because the artist I hired, I didn't, a lot of times when I do my stories and I do my writing, I see it in my head, but I see it in live action. So I see it as like a movie almost, so I didn't have a full vision for what the comic book was to look like. I knew the mood of the story and what I wanted to kind of convey. And I described the story to the artist, and he's like, well, let me just do one page for you just to make sure. And he sent me the first page of the comic, and I just looked at it, and I was like, yeah, that's it. It was just kind of this knowing that came through that, yeah, okay, that's the look I wanted for this book.
Very cool. So, I mean, it seems that all these tribes or the different were people have to come together to fight the dark force or the vampires. But do you see yourself as, like, what tribe would you belong to, do you think?
I would probably belong to the werewolf tribe if I was there. Definitely the main werewolf character, Alpha, Aaron, is definitely, there's a lot of me in him. I would definitely be in that. The werewolves, if you kind of got it from the story, and at least in the first part, the werewolves are more the kind of warrior, very nature-oriented. Mm-hmm. The werecats are more kind of like the Buddhist, very, peaceful, usually, passive, but passive. Although you'll see that they can fight when they need to as the story goes on. And then, the were-coyotes kind of stay, out under the radar. I would definitely be one with the nature, and I definitely have a little bit of, that kind of drive, ambition.
Yeah, awesome.
Sometimes, that the werewolves definitely have.
Cool. And do you find it's easier to develop a character that's coming from a personal reference, like you want to relate it to yourself or something? Is that more difficult to express it that way, or is it easier for you to develop a character that you have like a kind of like a relation with already?
It's definitely easier to develop a character, that I can relate to on some level. I think, all my characters, and I have a lot. I have probably about 20 story ideas, I got that I would like to get out there. But I would say each story reflects something, about me. Like I wrote a novella that's on Kindle right now called Brandon's Fairy Tale. Mm-hmm. It's very different than Wolf's Howl. It's more of like a romantic comedy kind of story. Mm. But, again, that was kind of written because I was relating to, again, the main character at the time I wrote the story and his kind of feeling stuck in life. Hmm. And so there's always kind of a little aspect to at least one or two of the characters, if not more, that I tend to relate to in my stories, and then, kind of jump off from that and kind of explore, well, given this kind of situation that, would normally not be present in real life, how does that work out? How do those emotions kind of play out?
Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, so I'm looking at the Kickstarter now. It looks like you're over halfway there, right? That's pretty awesome with 24 days to go. 60% funded in 4 days, yeah. So off to a very good start. Very cool. Yeah. If anybody wants to support the project, where do they go? They go to Wolf's Kickstarter.com, Wolf's Howl Part 1.
Yep, exactly. You can search that there. I'm also, I write under the label The Conjuring Pen, so you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and you can follow along through that as well. I post frequently. Okay, very cool. Awesome, man. Well, Mathew Basile, thank you so much for being on the show, and we'll definitely have you back on once the project is funded, and then we can talk about the whole story. Oh, great. Yeah, I would love it. Yeah, I would love to go. The story, like I said, is a great story, and I'm really passionate about it. It kind of got me back into writing when I kind of gave up on it for a little bit. So I definitely love talking about the story and would love to share more with the world. Cool. Awesome. Thanks again, man. Thank you for having me. Take care, guys. I'm headless. Oh, there I am. Okay. Mike lost a head.
Yeah.
Also heading the break, everybody.
Great guy. We definitely got to have him back in the show and then talk more about comics, because who doesn't love doing that? Speaking of comics, comic book news.
Mike Way.
Oh yeah. Oh, I like that. Wow. Ooh, wordplay there. Mike Way. Yes, because the foundation of this podcast is comic book news, so naturally, that's what we're going to do now.
Comics.
Okay, so a lot of comic book news coming out of New York Comic Con. Slightly confusing to me, but Bendis is helping to create a new imprint at DC called Wonder Comics, a teen-driven line in the spirit of Ultimate Comics. Okay, well, this is the confusing part, because the books that they're releasing are pretty cool, but do we really? I mean, they just started all these imprints before. Like, I really don't know if they're doing any market testing for these imprints, because like what did we have, like the Young Animal, and now we get DC Dark, where they showed the Bat Dick and then made it to like the front of the papers, and people were like, my comic shop is going to close. And now they're like, what's the word? Let's just make another imprint.
I think this one goes with the, hey Bendis, you want to work at DC? Yeah, that sounds cool. Do whatever the fuck you want then.
He's like, you get an imprint, you get an imprint, you get an imprint. It's like, what is happening?
So when they started Young Animals and Gerard Way took over, and obviously it flopped because it had one book that people were interested in, the rest were kind of out there.
Yep.
I do think this is a good idea though, because you're trying to center heroes towards a younger audience, and like constantly talk about this, right? We need to attract younger people into comics.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the lineup they got is actually pretty solid, even though I think one of them only interests me personally, but I think the creative teams they've put together are good.
Yep. So let's just go through the list here of what is going to be coming to Wonder Comics. You got Bendis and Patrick Gleason doing Young Justice. Sold. Yes. My only problem is like using Wonder Comics to sell that. Young Justice is going to sell itself. Right?
My only problem here is the team.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. This Young Justice team. You got Tim Drake, Robin, which is meh. You got Superboy, Impulse, and Amethyst.
Yeah, and I personally don't care for any of those characters.
Amethyst is like, I'm pretty sure the last time we saw Amethyst was in the Frankenstein book that came out of New 52.
I believe so. Wasn't there an Amethyst book somewhere in there too?
And that might have been like very strange. Like, why do they keep pushing this character down our throats?
Yeah, and then it was thrown out that like one of the villains is going to be an ancestor of Jonah Hex, which is actually pretty cool. And
Jonah Hex.
Who was it? Static Shock was almost in the book and could still appear at some point. So it's like their way. Basically, it feels like they just want to get Static Shock and Impulse back out there.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
But the creative team is solid. I mean, those two are killing it on Superman right now.
Right, but no Speedster and Young Justice. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, no Aqua character.
No Aqua character. Yeah, no water character.
I just feel like you should have gone into this thing, and it's tough because I know some of those characters are on Teen Titans and so on and so forth, but it feels like the easiest way to do this would have been to just copy the team from the cartoon, especially since you're relaunching the cartoon here soon.
Yeah. And you're using that name to sell the comic. But who are we? Just a couple of guys podcasting here.
Yeah.
Mark Russell, Stephen Byrne are doing the Wonder Twins. Could care less about the Wonder Twins, honestly.
I could care less about the Wonder Twins, but I really like Mark Russell, so I think I'm going to try that one.
Yeah.
But I don't see much coming from it.
Sam Humphries and Joe Quinos are bringing Dial H. Now that, I'm going to read Dial H.
Dial H is one for me that I will try.
For any of you who don't know who Dial H is, it was released in New 52, and I'm pretty sure I have the whole run. That was like when I was coming back into comics, and I bought, I think like the first two New 52s I had or the first few of them. There's definitely Green Lantern, and because Jeff Johns' Green Lantern. It was Green Lantern, Batman, Scott Snyder's Batman, and then I had Dial H, which was crazy because that got canceled after like 13 issues or something.
Yeah.
But Dial H is, he becomes a new hero each time.
Yeah. I'll try it out, especially since, and I think the huge news here is that Sam Humphries is writing it. Sam Humphries is a long-time Marvel guy.
Yeah.
And it's one of the Bendis acolytes that is making the move over to DC. But I'll give it a shot because it's a cool premise. It's another one where I don't see much coming from it, though, personally.
You say that now until it becomes the number one selling DC book.
Probably. But I'm also a little biased because once we get into the Marvel, that's where my wallet just gives up on life.
All right, so let's. Why don't you start? You kick us off with this Marvel? You start going through this.
All right, so the first one we got Kelly Thompson and Carmen Carnero, and they're going to bring us a new Captain Marvel ongoing. Surprise!
Makes sense with the movie coming out. Yep.
Yeah,
I sense a pattern here.
Kelly Thompson's a great writer, but she's never on a book that really with a character that catches me. Captain Marvel might be that character. I'm hit or miss on her. One that's kind of non-news, but it's a Marvel thing, is they're relaunching Champions with a new number one. Jim Zub is staying on as the writer. So basically they're just putting together, reorganizing the team a bit. I like Champions, how it's going right now. I think Jim Zub's killing it on it. So I'll stick with it. I don't see a reason not to. I just really wish Marvel would stop with this new number one nonsense.
All new, all different, all now new number one special.
Yeah, it's new editor-in-chief, and he's got to put his own spin on the same classic story. This one I'm super excited for. Chip Zdarsky and Carlos Mango, and they're bringing us Invaders. And that is going to be the one true Human Torch and Cap and Winter Soldier, and they're going up against Namor, who was also a part of the original Winter Soldiers. Invaders. Invaders, you don't know, World War II team. They've had many incarnations, but Cap's always been at the center of it, and I'm a huge fan of it.
Cool.
A big one for me, because I love the writer Tom Taylor and Juan Cabell are making yet another Spider-Man book, because we have to have 20 Spider-Man books, just like DC has to have 20 Batman books. But I'll check it out because I love Tom Taylor. It's Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
All right.
The only thing I'll say is the first time forever, I think I will be buying 3 separate Spider-Man books.
And are they all just Peter? I think they're all Peter Parker. Or no, 2 of them are Peter Parker.
Yes, and then one is the new Miles Morales one. There's
so many Spider-Men out there. Like, why does it always have to be Peter Parker?
Another Spider-Man book, and I'll probably check it out. Yusuke Osawa. Yusuke Osawa is making a Spider-Man manga as part of a Japanese talent search that Marvel is doing.
That's pretty awesome. I might actually get this.
Yeah. I'm kind of excited because it seems like the Japanese market is starting to jump into the superheroes. I can't remember if it's next week or the following, but we're going to finally get that Batman, the Justice League manga.
Yeah.
And I love the idea because I do enjoy manga here and there. And to do it with characters we love just makes it even better.
Yeah, I agree.
So continuing on. Marvel's going to do a sequel to No Surrender called Avengers. Oh, I lost my place. Avengers No Road Home. It's got the same creative team.
No Road Home.
So we got Mark Waid, we got Al Ewing, we got Jim Zub, and then we got Paco Medino and I forget the other artist at the moment, but 10-issue weekly series. I'll check it out. I like No Surrender.
This news.
Yeah.
Kurt Busiek and Alex Ross are coming to Marvel to curate new content in 2019, the 25th anniversary of Marvel. Which, if anybody doesn't know who Kurt is, he does a little book called
It's 25th anniversary of Marvels. I think I missed
Marvel.
it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, Alex Ross, amazing artist. Kurt Busiek, amazing writer for Astro City, and Alex Ross still does all the covers for him.
Yeah. So if you've never read Marvels is a really great title, and it was basically showing the birth of the Marvel Universe from the perspective of someone on the ground. And that person was a reporter for the Daily Bugle. It's a really amazing series, and it's one of the few series that Alex Ross has done where he actually does the interiors. So that's another reason you should check it out.
Mm-hmm.
If this means that they're creating a book together, whether it's a sequel to Marvels or something completely different, this is the biggest news of the year.
Yeah.
Especially if Alex Ross is announcing that he's doing interiors again for a book. Because I think that's the last time he did interiors he did Kingdom Come in 2004, 2005. I'm probably wrong on the date, but
yeah, he's only done covers since, and he's done covers of it's been like the Green Hornet and back.
He's done covers for everything
here and there, but
yeah, well, he's all the Marvel books and a few DC, and so yeah, that's huge. So anyone that's reading Jason Aaron's Thor knows they've been teasing War of the Realms for like 5 years now. It's coming next year, April. They wouldn't say whether it's a part of the Thor book or its own series, but I have a feeling it's going to be a Marvel event in April because they usually do a spring event, and you wouldn't announce it this big at New York Comic Con without it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's huge because we've been waiting for War of the Realms, and that book's been amazing. So Conan's coming back to Marvel. We all know that.
Yep.
And in typical Marvel fashion, there can't just be one Conan book. There has to be two.
No, they got to bring back 2 Conan books.
So they announced that Jerry Duggan and Ron Garney are going to do a Savage sort of Conan book for Marvel.
Why not?
Savage Sword of Conan, the name means a ton to Marvel history, so I understand. I feel you should have just done Conan the Barbarian with Jason Aaron and let that kind of build before doing this. This isn't Star Wars.
Yeah.
But I love me some Jerry Duggan, so I will probably try it out.
Nice.
So that's it with the Marvel news. Now we got some independent news, and I will.
Fight Club 3 announced, obviously because of the popularity of Fight Club 2, by Cassidy and Wade.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, not by Cassidy. I think it's the original.
Author, yes.
The original. Yeah. I don't think I ever got around to finishing the second one. Did you read Fight Club 2?
I never did. I didn't because I heard it was a sequel to the book, and I never read the book. And I'm not sure how different the book is from the movie. So I don't know. That's why I never got around to it. But huge news for Dark Horse, who needs some big news.
Yeah, for sure. And then we have Cassidy and Wade are starting a new superhero universe at Humanoid Comics. Yeah. That's pretty crazy. I can't believe they're allowing Wade to do that, honestly, because he's still writing a lot for Marvel, right?
Yeah, I get the feeling, because he was announced as like a creative something at Humanoid earlier in the week, too.
Mm-hmm.
I get the feeling he's on the outs with Marvel. He's had a lot of controversy he's had a lot of controversy his entire life.
Yeah.
But he's ramped up again these past couple of years. He was kind of forced off of social media, and I think he just wants to go and do something without someone lurking over top of him. And good for him. I don't know, though. You got to get pitches on some books to know if this is something worth checking out.
Yeah, we don't know a whole lot about it, you know. Yeah. So now we get to talk about what we read this week. Woohoo!
Yeah, there's a lot of news. Damn.
Yeah. All right. I actually got it behind me here. Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Else to the you.
What a great cover.
It is. The cover to the next issue is even better, but this is a fantastic cover.
If only Jeff Shaw did the interiors as well.
Yeah, although I am coming around to the interiors. It's still definitely like would have been a 10 out of 10 with Jeff Shaw, but I do enjoy Burnett's Thanos.
There's some good splash pages and stuff though when they basically this issue Punisher Thanos brings Frank Castle, Ghost Rider, back to his universe and shows him, hey, look at this paradise, look at it. But it comes at a cost. There were lots of people that didn't want to bend to the will of Thanos, so he kind of like threw them into slums. Almost reminds me of like the shot we get of the city with like the air balloons and stuff. Really reminds me of Judge Dredd. Like what is that city called?
Is it Megalopolis?
Yeah, yep, that's it. That's really what it reminds me of. So basically, Frank understands that it comes at a cost, and he's like, "What are you, crazy?" And then he shows him. He points over to the house and like the field of like all the nice stuff, and it's Frank and his family. And he goes, "That can't be right. You've definitely done something here that you weren't supposed to do." So he goes to shoot baby Thanos in the head. And then he kind of knocks older Punisher Thanos knocks Frank down and says, "Yeah, you're going to be my herald."
Yeah. So we're getting Ghost Rider versus Punisher yet again.
Yep. And he even says that. He says, "Well, I can't escape you." Batman this week, a nice foil cover.
Those covers were nice.
Yeah, I'm going to let you talk about Justice League because I haven't read Justice League yet. I forgot. Well, I didn't forget. I just haven't got to it. Batman is really good this week. He's basically fighting his way to find KG Beast's father because that's the only connection left on Earth. Like anywhere. He keeps going through all these channels to find him, and basically KG Beast has killed everyone that has ever been related to him, so he can never be found. So basically KG Beast is at his father's house to kill him because he's the last connection to him. The issue ends with him, Batman, discovering the cabin and is at the door. Little something of note, we get a cool I'm not going to talk too much about this, but the Grant Morrison, Liam Sharp Green Lantern, we get a little preview this week.
Yeah, and like all the DC books.
Yeah, but holy crap, does this book look amazing? Right?
Yeah, I didn't read it because I want to just go in fresh, but
I'm not even reading it. I just kind of flipped through it.
Yeah, the art looks fantastic though.
But between the new type of paper for the pages, like they're not really high gloss. And the art, it's like it's almost like I'm reading like it just reminds me of like Grant Morrison or Swamp Thing. It reminds me of Alan Moore's Swamp Thing is like the vibe I get from it, which is amazing. Yeah. It's going to be epic. It has to be epic. It's Grant Morrison. Okay, I'll let you talk about your books.
So I will. Actually, no, I'll start since you talked about Batman. I read Batman Volume 3, I Am Bane.
Oh, nice.
Really, really good. I couldn't put it down. And my favorite issue in all this was when they were kind of comparing Batman's origin with Bane's origin in that one issue, and how basically one decision tears a similar circumstance apart. And I think that Tom King does a great job of setting up Bane as like the anti-Batman. And then at the end, we get an origin for the Bat Hound, which was pretty interesting.
Yep.
And they also included the Brave and the Mold issue, which was really good as well.
Very cool.
Like all the other volumes of Tom King I've read, it's fantastic. The you say it every time a new issue comes out, but that book is definitely worth buying. Justice League number 9. It's basically a filler issue. We kind of get how Batman gets healed, and they do kind of a walkthrough of the Hall of Justice and what's in it and why it exists, which was kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. And they fix the moon. Basically, Frieza comes and doesn't attack Batman.
Frieza?
Which you'll get if you read the book, because there's an alien race that comes in, I'm not sorry, it's Superman. While Superman's fixing the moon, these aliens come, they look like Frieza.
That's awesome.
A few of them fight him, but then like the big bad one at the end just kind of like turns away and leaves.
I actually picked this up this week. For any of you who don't know, Wonder Woman Earth 1 Volume 2 came out. Yes. Grant Morrison and Yannick Paquette. Amazing artist, amazing writer. Cannot wait to unravel this baby and read that for sure.
I'm sure we'll be talking about that next week because I got it as well.
Action 1003, did not talk about this last week. Didn't get around to it. To get a hold of Kryptonite, so Superman can't get close to her, so he sends Batman. Batman basically mugs her, takes the Kryptonite. And she even says, did Batman just mug me? And he kind of just like flies away. And there's this weird interaction where the girl who was like in exchange of the Kryptonite, something weird happens where the girl dies with like this weird red energy. I don't know where it came from. And then at the end of the book, Lois Lane is hiding out, typing something, and Lex Luthor finds out where she is. So I don't know why Lex Luthor is finding Lois Lane and why he wants to talk to her, but that's how the issue ends.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what's going on with Lois Lane.
Mm-hmm.
So next I got Death Orb number 1 from Dark Horse. This is actually, if you remember Ryan Ferrier, we had him on the show a while back.
Yeah.
This is his new book. It's basically Mad Max in the distant future on motorcycles.
Sick.
So it's like a post-apocalyptic wasteland. The lead character's on a motorcycle, and he's got to fight these... It's basically a religious sect that's taken over. Uh-huh. It's a very interesting first issue, and I want to see where it's going. It's only a 5-issue series as well. But I'd recommend checking it out if any of that sounds interesting to you. We got Walking Dead number 184. So basically this new town that they found is slowly falling apart at the seams. And when Rick gets there, there's a riot going on, and they have to fix it. And then all the people are questioning Rick because him and his group are coming around helping them fix things and pick up stuff. And everybody's like, why are you doing this? This isn't your job. Because as we know, the town has kind of a class system in it. Mm-hmm. And then we end on the mayor, or whatever she is, governor, kind of turning around and starting to realize that her ways might not be as perfect as she thinks.
Dun, dun, dun.
And not only does Eugene find a train that he wants to fix because it goes very conveniently between their camp and Rick's camp, but
wow.
We also get Dwight at the end, who thinks that he should be in charge of this new town and wants to take over. And that's kind of where we end it.
Cool.
As Guardians of the Galaxy number 2, book is so much fun. Colin Bunn's killing it on this book, and we get a very depressing death in Throg, the Frog of Thunder. And we also get Nebula, who's trying to take her force of dead gods to fight another race, and she brings out the original Thor that died so long ago, I can't remember, to fight him. Because in this universe, or in this theory, whenever God dies, their body dies, and when they're resurrected, the old body stays behind in the realm of the dead. So she has like multiple Thors she can just throw out at people.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Star Wars 55. Star Wars is really good. Some great Darth Vader stuff in there. Definitely check that out. Champions number 25. This is the D&D book you've always wanted. So the champions have to go to Weird World to save their friends. And when they get there, the means in which they get there transforms them into the Weird World version of themselves. So like Miles is a stealth assassin, and Brawl is a ogre who's working in a blacksmith, and so on and so forth. And they have to go on an adventure. So it's got a very D&D-esque feel to it with the champions characters, and I really enjoyed it. Injustice 2 is coming to an end, but anyone didn't know, Croc and Orca got married.
Wow.
That happened. They're going to have a kid.
Great. That's awesome. Is it going to be like a Crorca?
Super Sons number 3. That's right, I'm ignoring what you said.
I know. Damn it.
Super Sons number 3 was basically the characters getting to the planet in which the little Joker and little Lex Luthor and all them are from.
Mm-hmm.
And when they get there, they crash and they land and they get out of the vehicle and find out that what was his name? Something Cabby. Space Cabby is on this planet. Which is fantastic because I do love me some Space Cabby. Die 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 number 3. Die 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 is a really great book in which Robert Kirkman finds way for Chris Burnham to draw horrific deaths. And there's a lot of really intense politics in here too. And there's 3 twins and they're all messed up and it's crazy and I love it and I can't wait for the next issue. And then the big one for me, The Return of What If. And this is what if Flash Thompson became Spider-Man. It's an interesting take on kind of the classic what if story. It's one issue, one story. It kind of tells you the entirety of what happens to him throughout his career. And just the small differences of Flash and him slowly realizing that he's not a hero and that he's actually a glory hound and a bully. In the book, he ends up killing Peter Parker and just can't get out of his own way. I really like the interstitials with the unseen. It really reminds me of the classic What If books. I think they did a really great job on this, the first one, and I can't wait for the next one.
Cool. Awesome.
And that is everything I got. So with that, Mike, where can people find you on the internet?
Fortress Ricker on the Twitters. Where can they find you, Chris?
You can find me at Fortress Chris on Twitter, or you can find the show at FCN_official, and of course, FortressComicNews.com, where you can find everything we do right in one simple place.
One place.
If you're listening to us, remember 5-star review on iTunes helps us out a ton, helps us get to more listeners. And if you're watching this, down below, comment, subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, all that fun stuff. And if you do all that, I'll be a happy, happy man.
Nice.
And remember, countdown to 100. It's real.
It's happening.
So I'll see you all next week. He's not going to say bye.
What?